Hey everyone, my name's Ben Bolger and welcome to the Expat Blueprint, the channel dedicated to educating expats to financial freedom. Well, episode number 8, who would have thought it? Apparently number 7 is a real watershed for a podcast because over half of them don't actually make it past number 7. So I'm chuffed we're still here and hopefully you guys can be assured we're not actually going anywhere. Okay, so on to today's episode. Since number 3, where I went through the financial planning pyramid, I've been taking the time to break down each stage of the pyramid and give it its own episode. Today we're going to talk about financial protection. It's amazing when I sit down with expats and bring up the subject of financial protection, it always throws people into one of 4 camps. Camp number 1 are people who don't have a clue about what I'm talking about. It's just something that's never come across their radar. Camp number 2 is the people who are completely against it. Typical comments are, why do I need it? I'm fit and healthy, I'm single, who would I leave it to? Nothing's ever going to happen to me. Insurance companies are con artists, I don't trust them, and so on. Camp number 3 are the people that know and understand the importance of it, but really don't fancy paying for it. You can tell it plays on their mind, but just don't want to commit. And camp number 4 are the people that completely get it, they understand its importance and think it's just too valuable not to have it in place. Now, the objective of my videos are never to tell you what to do. Only you can decide what's right and wrong for your personal situation. My mission is purely just to give you qualified and unbiased information to help you make your mind up yourself. So as always, let's go through the what, why and how of financial protection. So what is financial protection? Today we're just going to go through the basics of what it is. I will be doing videos on things like the different products available, how you calculate how much you need, how to make a decision on which cover suits your situation best, but that will be in other videos because it would just be too much to go over today. Okay, so I've mentioned there are different types of financial protection, but today we're just going to focus on the ones that are typically offered to expats. That's life insurance, critical illness cover, and permanent total disability cover. So starting with life insurance, essentially the question I always ask is, if you were to go to sleep last night and unfortunately you didn't wake up, how would your spouse and your family cope? Now obviously if that were to happen, that's not what they'd be thinking about straight away. But when the dust settled and reality hit them that your income isn't there to support them anymore, what sort of position would they be in? People normally taken back a bit by this sort of question because it's not something that we generally go around thinking about. However, when they start to think about their cost of living, their hopes of supporting their children through their education, their debts or liabilities that they could be leaving behind to their spouse, things start to become a bit more real. The idea is to ensure that if you were to pass away too soon or unexpectedly, then your beneficiaries and loved ones would still be able to function and achieve the things that you would want them to achieve if you were still alive. Life assurance is a way of transferring that risk onto an insurance company. You select a period of time that you want to be insured for. Typically people would select periods, say, up to their retirement or when children become independent, say 18 or 21, or maybe the length of a mortgage or another debt liability. You then also select how much you want to be covered for by the insurance company. If you were to pass away, this is the amount that would be paid out in a lump sum by the insurance company. We would typically want an amount that was a multiple of our annual income, or an amount that would be able to clear off the debt completely if we were to pass away. For taking on this risk, the insurance company will ask you to pay a monthly or annual payment, often known as a premium. They calculate this premium on you. So your age, your gender, your nationality, where you live, your past medical history, your family medical history, your lifestyle habits, your smoking status, and so on. Typically, the younger and healthier you are, the less of a risk you are to the insurance company, and therefore the lower your premiums are going to be. So life insurance is a pretty simple concept. You would just pass in on the responsibility of ensuring your family's future and financial security onto an insurance company if you were to pass away too soon. Now, this is typically much easier for people to understand if you have a family or people depending on your salary. However, if you are young, free and single with no real dependents, then the chances are that your need for life cover could be pretty low. This then moves us onto the topic of financial protection that supports you while you're still alive. Here I'm talking about critical illness cover and total permanent disability cover. These basically work in the same way life cover does by providing you a lump sum, but will do so on the diagnosis of a critical illness or after an event causing you to become disabled. These types of cover will provide support to you while you're still alive and therefore are relevant to you whether you have dependents or not. Let's go through them individually. So as mentioned, critical illness cover will pay out a lump sum on a diagnosis of a serious illness. Things typically covered are major illnesses like cancers, heart attacks, strokes, conditions like multiple sclerosis and Alzheimer's. We're talking about the serious illnesses that will keep you away from employment for a substantial period of time. We're not talking about a broken arm or a twisted ankle here. Unfortunately, these illnesses are becoming more and more common. None of us are immune to any of them. I'm sure we all have people that we know that have been affected by a life-changing illness. In the UAE alone, the national newspaper reported that over 4,500 people a year are diagnosed with cancer. That's 12 people a day. And unfortunately, this is expected to double over the next 10 years. So moving on to total permanent disability, often abbreviated to TPD, and again, works in a relatively simple way. It will pay out an agreed lump sum in compensation to you if you become permanently disabled or unable to work. It can sometimes be included in a critical illness policy, or you might need to add it on additionally. Most insurers have their own specific definitions of what they determine to be a TPD claim. Each insurer and each policy is different. Depending on your level of cover, you could potentially make a claim for the following reasons. If after becoming disabled, you're unable to work in your own occupation. If after becoming disabled, you're unable to work in any other form of occupation to which is suited by, say, education, training or experience. Or if after becoming disabled, you lose the ability to undertake usual day-to-day duties, such as cleaning and personal hygiene. My advice is to make sure that you read carefully through any TPD policy to find out how total permanent disability is defined and what's included in your policy. So who needs critical illness and TPD cover? Well, in my opinion, most people, but definitely people who depend heavily on their salary to support themselves or their family, or don't have enough savings in place if they were to become seriously ill or disabled. You just need to have a serious think about the scenario that if you were cut off from your income for a sustained period of time because of a serious illness or disability, how would that affect your life? How quickly would you burn through all your savings if you were unable to work for a number of years? How would this affect the people around you? Your boyfriend, your girlfriend, husband, wife, children, mum, dad, friends. If you didn't have anything to replace your income, then the people around you are likely to feel obligated to support you through this really testing time. Let's be honest, it's not the nicest of discussion topics, but it's crucially one of the most fundamental when looking at your financial planning. I love sitting and talking to expats about the things they want to achieve in their lives. What retirement looks like for them, which schools they want their children to go to, and so on. But these conversations become completely irrelevant if they have to either pass away too soon or become critically ill or disabled. More often than not, in these scenarios, future plans and aspirations are chucked out the window, and your life and the life of your family is purely focused on what's happening now. Okay, so now you should have an understanding of what are the main categories of financial protection that are available to you as an expat. And hopefully you should now understand why these policies are so important to ensuring you safeguard yours and your family's financial future. The how is pretty simple. Most insurance policies in the international market, though each country is different due to regulations, are still mainly offered through financial planners, advisors and brokerages. However, with the development of fintech, or insurtech in this case, I'm sure that it won't be long before the market gets disrupted and expats have more access to insurance policies directly from the insurer. Understanding how much cover you need, what products are available and how you work the premiums into your budget can be a bit of a headache. And like I mentioned, I will be doing more videos to go through all this information in the future. But in the meantime, if you are unsure, seek professional advice before acting to make sure that you get the right protection for your personal situation. There you have it, a very quick whistle-stop tour of the types of financial protection expats need to consider. I was thinking of a way to wrap up today's episode, and then I came across a quote from Jack Ma, the billionaire businessman who co-founded Alibaba. When speaking about life insurance and financial protection, he said, "Buying life insurance cannot change your life, but it can prevent your life being changed. An illness can wipe out a family's savings that they've saved decades for by the medical bills. You will not turn bankrupt because of buying insurance, but your loved ones will turn bankrupt if you don't." Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, we'd love you to leave comments and reviews, and also share this amongst your expats, family and friends. With your help, we could reach so many more expats and help them on their way to financial freedom. So see you in next week's video, and always remember to dream big.